gardener comes out to tend to his garden. He prunes and shapes the branches in order that the fresh buds may begin to blossom and bear fruit. Some of the branches have completely died. They did not survive the harsh winter, so the gardener removes and throws them away to be burned. He also notices that some branches have become disconnected and they lie dead because they have been severed from their life source. The gardener knows that had he not pruned the branches and removed the dead wood, the plant would not have been able to bear more fruit. It may have flowered a little, but it would never have been able to achieve its full potential for that season. In John 15 we read, "I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so they will produce even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me, and I in them, will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me, and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to my Father." And so it is with us. As we grow up in Christ and remain connected to the life source, our branches must be pruned. The Father is a loving God, and he prunes us not only to discipline us, but because he loves us and wants to see us bear much fruit. Bearing fruit brings honor to God. As we grow in our spiritual walk, there will be times when God has to prune us to remove that which is dead wood. He sees the things that are holding us back and preventing us from achieving our true potential. And so gently, he tugs at that branch, making us aware of its presence, aware that it is not good for us and that it must be removed. Maybe it's a habit which is proving hard to break, or an addiction which holds us in bondage. Perhaps it's the ungodly way in which we use our tongues to slander others, or our tone with our children. For some it may be their negativity, whilst for others their anger. It's important to remember that we are not being asked to do this in our own strength, but as branches connected to the true vine, Jesus. As we choose to remain in Christ, he promises to remain in us. He is our helper and does not ask us to give up or change more than we can bear. What he is actually bringing us is freedom. Freedom to choose not to do that thing anymore. Freedom not to slander others. Freedom not to drink. Freedom not to be angry and full of rage. Freedom to choose our words wisely. Whatever the branch, it must be pruned, and we must let go of it to allow God to let us become more fruitful. After all, holding on to it will only hinder our growth. As we allow God to prune the branches, and as we remove the weight that hinders, we can finally begin to blossom and move forwards onto the path that God has for us.